Welcome to a short reflection by Sebastian Mahfoud on Canto XXIII of Dante's Purgatorio. Dante, even after his experience in the Wood of the Suicides, is still keenly interested in finding out who within the branches of the tree had just cried the whip, and Virgil checks him by telling him it's time to move on. At this moment Dante hears at his back a hymn and a cry of pain, in the form of Labia mea Domine. O Lord, open thou my lips, and my heart shall pour forth thy praise. And is soon answered in his question about the source of the sound by the appearance of the gluttons who pass them by, wrapped as they are in their holy meditations. They are emaciated to the extent that a close reading of their eye sockets on either side of their nose spells out homo, the Latin for man. One of them stops, turns, and stares at Dante in recognition. This is Ferese Donati, kinsman to Dante's wife Gemma, and the closest Dante ever gets to mentioning her presence in his life. Ferese explains the contrapasso of this ledge, that all those who sing while weeping in their pain once loved their stomach sacks beyond all measure. Here thirst and hunger wring them clean again. The hunger and the thirst come from the tree, the fragrance of its fruit, and the spray upon the foliage. At this point Dante notes that Ferese is actually fairly well advanced in his way up the mountain, that he had died only 5 years before. Ferese had been a glutton all his life, so it would make sense that he turned to God only in his final hour, and should still be doing time in ante-purgatory for the years he made God wait. Ferese explains that his wife Nella has prayed fervently for his soul. Contrast that against the wife of Judge Nino, whom we met in the Flowering Valley, a woman who remarried fast on the heels of her husband's death, and has forgotten to say prayers for him. Had it not been for Nella, Ferese and Nino might have been bunkmates yet. Just as Judge Nino chastised his faithless wife, Ferese chastises the feckless caprice of immodest women, and opines that Muslim women know how to dress better. Dante then addresses how he got to where he is, where he's penultimately going, which is to Beatrice, and that he's still in his original flesh. He then introduces Virgil and Statius. Ferese being purified for his gluttony, which he didn't give up, Ciardi notes, until the last moments of his life, when he was too weak to eat any more. But his complaint about life on earth isn't about those who overeat, but those who immodestly dress. If we reach back into the Inferno and review this triptych as told from the point of view of hell, we find that a failure to apply good stewardship of the eyes leads to lust, and that such desire for sensual pleasure is concerned primarily with what one can get, and not with what one can give. The intensification of lust, which is a failure to control one's appetite, can lead to gluttony, or inordinate consumption, and this gives way to hoarding those things one wants to consume all by oneself, but cannot do so all at once, or the consumption of everything one gets to the detriment of one's future. This is the point of Dante's invoking the memory of Aristochthon, whom Ciardi notes ate up all his own substance, sold his daughter in order to buy more food, consumed that, and finally devoured his own limbs. In this, Ciardi continues, we can see that gluttony really consumes the soul, and leads, in its place, to avarice and prodigality. So what we've been doing here in Purgatory is shrugging those things off in reverse order, giving up the need to hoard and waste, and purging ourselves of the need for inordinate consumption. As the vices melt away, what's left ahead of us is the gateway drug of an inordinate sensual pleasure. Hence, modesty in our relations with others can be a preventative measure to enable us to avoid the excessive indulgence in the sensitive appetites. Naturally, though, one doesn't have to start with lust to get to avarice, just as Statius was a prodigal without incurring any guilt on the upper ledges. But patterning it in this way helps us understand the nature of this triptych.